And welcome to Hannity tonight. Democrats, they are in a state of panic. Their far-left ideology is unpopular. Their policies are a disaster. Their president, well, most Americans agree, is mentally unfit. Their vice president is incompetent. Their poll numbers are worse than ever. And now their precious Twitter is under new ownership. Now, the days of arbitrarily banning or censoring speech appears to be over. Free speech, according to Elon Musk, is coming to Twitter, and high in their ivory tower, America's ever so fragile left liberals, they can't seem to handle it emotionally. It's getting funny. Now, notorious fraud Elizabeth Warren called it, quote, dangerous for our democracy, and then threatened to take Elon Musk's wealth by force. Let's just take all his money. We'll steal it. Now, Socialist Senator Ed Markey, he was openly worried about Elon's dangerous influence over the social media platform. The congenital liar Adam Schiff tweeted, quote, I am concerned Elon's personal views will stop the fight against disinformation on social media. The biggest liar in the country. Now, make no mistake, no one in America has pushed more disinformation than him. Now, he frequently claimed that there was direct and ample evidence of Russia collusion. That turned out to be a lie and a hoax and a conspiracy theory that he sold to America for years. Now, to this day, Adam Schiff, he continues to cast doubts on the legitimacy of the 2016 election. Adam Schiff isn't worried that Americans will be exposed to disinformation. No, he's worried they'll actually be exposed to something called the truth, something he's not really familiar with. Like, for example, Hunter Biden's very real laptop from hell. Now, in 2020, Twitter completely censored New York Post and their bombshell report on the laptop just weeks before the presidential election. They even banned private messages linking to the story, and they locked Twitter accounts of America's oldest daily newspaper. At the time, Twitter claimed the Post violated their hacked materials policy, but the materials were not hacked. There was no evidence that the material was hacked in any way, shape, manner, or form. Now, in reality, Twitter blocked the report for one reason and one reason only, to protect Joe Biden, period. What did I call it? That's right, the Candidate Protection Program. Now, yesterday, Twitter's new owner tweeted, quote, suspending the Twitter account of a major news organization for publishing a truthful story was obviously incredibly inappropriate. And now something else inappropriate appears to be going on at Twitter. Shortly after Elon's successful bid to buy the social media giant, well, conservatives on the platform all of a sudden, out of nowhere, enjoyed a massive bump in followers and interactions. For example, in just 2 days, Donald Trump Jr., wow, magically, he got 200,000 new followers. That it's roughly 2,000% increase daily. Wow. It's almost as if Twitter employees lifted a broad anti-conservative, anti-Trump shadow ban, which we all knew was taking place anyway, in an effort to cover their tracks before the new boss takes over. Now, Twitter claims that there's nothing nefarious at play here, but they've said that all before. Now, we know the current executives at Twitter are far-left political hacks. We have witnessed their dishonest, their deeply biased gatekeeping over and over again. But hopefully, that's going to change, and stories about the Biden family's very real corruption might even be allowed to trend at some times. Now, like this very interesting development, according to newly uncovered emails, Hunter Biden trashed Bill Clinton and everyone around him. He referred to Clinton as an a-hole who looks like Adam Schiff, and he also referred to Clinton aides as petty, greedy, venal, and low rent for getting paid by the Clinton Foundation. And apparently, according to Hunter, the only classy way to make money is to sell out your father's office to, let's see, the communist Chinese and Russian oligarchs, Ukraine, avoid paying taxes, and then spend millions on crack cocaine, hookers, and low-mileage leases on exotic cars, all while saving 10% for the big guy. That's right, President Joey. We'll have a lot more of my monologue in just a minute, but first, here now with reaction is Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. Senator, I don't know. I do 4 hours on air a day, and from what I understood is all these conservatives like President Trump, they were canceled on platforms like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, et cetera. We know shadow banning is taking place on many of these platforms. And now all of a sudden the left is fearful that information might not be flowing freely. It sounds like what they really fear is the free flow of information. Your thoughts?
Well, Sean, the Twitter executives are they're very upset this week. I think Mr. Musk made a couple of them cry. I'm sure that more than a couple have gone out to and already bought an emotional support pony. But here's what's going on. Twitter is run by wokers. Wokers represent the crank wing of the Democratic Party. Wokers, as I've said before, are easy to recognize. Most of them eat food only fit for rabbits. They almost always enter a swimming pool by the stairs. They also don't believe in free speech. I do, which means I respect the right of the wokers to have their opinion. But I have an opinion, and here's mine. Experience shows that the wokers who run Twitter are intolerant, they're intemperate, they're foolish, they're unthoughtful. Experience shows that the woker executives who run Twitter, they don't respect any opinion but their own, and they censor all others. They're also not normal Americans. They believe, for example, that kids should be able to change their gender at recess. They believe that cops are more of a problem than criminals. They believe that government employees in Florida have a constitutional right to talk to 5-year-olds about sexuality. Now, again, that's all okay. This is American. You can believe what you want, but they can't and shouldn't censor those on Twitter who disagree with him. Mr. Musk has bought it, and here's what I think he should do. I think he should call in all the woke Twitter executives and say, folks, we're going to start respecting free speech. I promise you at least one will say, Mr. Musk, we can't do that, and I won't do that. That's the one Mr. Musk should fire.
I actually take it a step further. I think you should clean out the whole organization. I don't know if you heard about the one lawyer apparently broke down crying over the fact that Elon Musk took over. Elon Musk said something that really struck me, Senator. He said that for all my critics out there, I hope you stay on Twitter so you can learn what free speech is all about, basically inviting them to criticize him. Now, what's amazing is you have all of these left-wing news people and all these left-wing politicians saying, well, hang on, a candidate or a politician might get banned or throttled back. And I'm thinking, do you not know what has been happening over the last number of years? How do they bifurcate their brains into thinking it's okay to do it to a conservative, but only the threat of it happening to them finally wakes them up to the importance of freedom of speech?
Well, the irony is rich. What Musk is proposing is nothing extraordinary. He just believes in free speech. Now, what does free speech mean? It means that you're not free unless you have the right to express yourself. It means you're not free unless you can say what you think. He is not telling the wokers that they can't express their opinion on Twitter. What he is saying to the wokers, the ones who run Twitter, you can't censor points of view that you disagree with. That's the way America works. That has not been the way that Twitter has worked. And I think it's very refreshing.
Let me ask you, should there be, obviously you got to have a limit. Nobody should be able to make a physical threat against somebody.
Of course, no hate speech.
You can't make a physical threat. That's illegal anyway. Mm-hmm. The question is, what do you do if you really want to have a freedom of speech platform? I mean, any reasonable person with a conscience and a soul deplores real racism and deplores real anti-Semitism. Mm-hmm. Do you let those people say what they want and assume that the free market will just kind of weed them out and people won't pay attention to them? Or should there be some standards? That gets a little more complicated. Well,
you shouldn't allow hate speech, but you've got to trust Americans. You've got to trust people to be able to think for themselves. I'll give you an example. The wokers, probably the woker executives who run Twitter, they believe that all white people are racist. Now, I think if they want to, as silly as that is, they should be able to say that on their own platform. But people who disagree with them should be able to disagree and say, no, that in and of itself is a higher form of racism, and here's why. That's called the free exchange of ideas, and that has not been the case on Twitter, and everybody knows it, including the woker executives who run the thing. That's why they're so upset. And I don't think Mr. Musk is going to back down. My advice to my friends at Twitter who are running the place is, look, there's a new sheriff in town. You go fill out a hurt feelings report, but things are going to be different.
Don't send out a hurt feeling. I don't know why every time you say the word woker, it just cracks me up. It makes me laugh. But they're really out there. Senator, we're watching your race, but you're so popular in Louisiana. I don't think there are even many wokers that live in Louisiana.
Well, we have some wokers, but look, they're entitled to their opinion. How can I put this? I have the right to remain silent. I just don't have the ability. I say what I think, and I have that right as an American. And if you disagree with me, you're entitled to disagree with me. That's what makes America work, and that's what Twitter has been missing.
I have the right, but I choose not to.
I have the right to remain silent, but I don't have the ability.
I don't have that ability either. Senator Kennedy.
I've noticed.
We love having you on. Thank you for being with us. All right, now it's no secret that Biden's poll numbers are historically bad. Quinnipiac had him at 33% approval rating. Even in deep blue states like Oregon, New Mexico, Biden is underwater. And today, 4 new polls have Biden down by double digits nationwide, including a 17-point deficit in Rasmussen, a 13-point deficit in Politico, and according to Gallup, record-setting inflation is contributing to these numbers. Now, still, Joe is not attempting to pump an additional $1.6 trillion into the economy in order to pay off all student loans. In other words, if Biden gets his way, his new plan, forget about the 40-year high of inflation, record high gas prices, everything costing more in every store you go to, every American family will now be forced to shoulder a $13,000 burden. Now, it doesn't seem to matter if you didn't even go to college or if you already paid off your loans. I paid off my loan, $58.05. It took me 10 years to pay it off. I paid every penny. Maybe you worked your way through college, like I was working my way through college at the time, to mitigate the cost. Everyone will have to pay so Biden can appease his radical new Green Deal socialist base. By the way, what does this have to do with anything green? It doesn't. The whole Green New Deal is only about higher energy prices, which makes America less competitive, and it's resulted in the highest gas prices we've ever had, a 41-year high in inflation, and everything we buy in every store costing more. How is that working out? Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.